Before she was known as Mrs. Zuckerberg, Priscilla Chan was just a quiet, hardworking girl growing up in a cramped apartment in a Chinatown neighborhood. No luxury. No family name. Just the echo of her parents' sacrifices and the quiet hope that maybe, just maybe, life in America would pay off someday. Her parents were Chinese refugees who fled Vietnam after the war. They didn't speak much English. They didn't have degrees or networks. What they did have was grit. Her mother worked as a seamstress, sewing through the night, while her father ran a small corner store, often on his feet 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like many immigrant families, their biggest dream wasn't for themselves. It was for their daughter. In households like Priscilla's, academic success isn't optional. It's the ticket out. The message is unspoken but powerful. You have to make it. For us. For everything we left behind. So while her classmates were going to football games or prom, Priscilla was buried in books. She was that quiet, smart girl in the back of the classroom, often overlooked, sometimes mocked. Other kids teased her for bringing weird-smelling food for lunch. Some questioned her accent. But Priscilla didn't argue. She didn't fight back. She studied harder. She focused. And against all odds, she did what most thought impossible. She got into Harvard. Now, to many people born and raised in the U.S., going to college, even a prestigious one, is a personal accomplishment. But for a first-generation immigrant like Priscilla, it's a family victory. It's the result of 1,000 invisible sacrifices. The lunch she skipped so her family could save money. The weekend she spent tutoring other kids instead of going out. The quiet nights she watched her mother fall asleep at the sewing machine. And still, her path wasn't easy. Even at Harvard, she was part of a small minority. Asian American. Female. From a working-class background. She didn't have connections. She didn't come from money. But what she did have was discipline, humility, and an unshakable sense of purpose. So how does a quiet girl from Chinatown end up walking the halls of one of the world's most elite universities and eventually standing beside one of the most powerful men in tech? The answer isn't luck, it's not just brains, it's resilience, it's family values. And it's the quiet fire inside a girl who knew that her life had to mean something more than comfort. Priscilla majored in biology, not to chase prestige, but because she wanted to become a pediatrician. To give back. To help children who grew up like she did, with limited resources but unlimited potential. That heart for service? It's what makes her who she is to this day. In a world where wealth often screams through designer labels and red-bottom heels, Priscilla Chan whispered something very different, with just one sentence and one pair of shoes. It happened one afternoon, while Priscilla was shopping with Randy Zuckerberg, Mark's sister. They were strolling through a high-end boutique when Randy pointed out a pair of designer shoes, sleek, stunning, and carrying a $600 price tag. Randy, with a grin, told her, "You should get them, you can afford it." But Priscilla didn't hesitate. She gently put the shoes back and replied, "That's not my money." That moment, so simple, so quiet, sent ripples far beyond that boutique. Because Priscilla could have bought those shoes, easily. She was, after all, dating one of the youngest billionaires in the world. But she chose not to. And in doing so, she told the world something powerful. Her self-worth doesn't come with a price tag. In today's consumer culture, women are constantly bombarded with the message that what we wear defines our value. We're told that the right bag, the right car, the right dress, those are what make us enough. Especially if you're standing beside a powerful man. The world expects you to look the part. But Priscilla never played by those rules. She didn't need to prove anything with designer shoes or diamond earrings. She wasn't interested in becoming a fashion icon or a headline. She was focused on something deeper, on purpose, on humility, and on staying grounded in a world that often rewards show over substance. And that mindset? It's not just about shoes. When she married Mark in 2012, their wedding wasn't a royal spectacle. It was held quietly in their backyard. Guests thought they were attending a graduation party. There were no paparazzi, no gold-plated invitations, no over-the-top venue. Just two people, in love, choosing to celebrate in the most human way possible. Even their honeymoon was understated. Instead of jetting off to the Maldives or Paris, they went to Priscilla's hometown. Quiet, familiar, rooted. Some might call that boring. But for people like Priscilla, it's real. It's meaningful. And in a world where so many lose themselves chasing status, staying true to who you are, is an act of quiet rebellion. And that's the beauty of her story. She doesn't need luxury to feel valuable. She doesn't need the spotlight to feel seen. She lives by this quiet strength that says, I know who I am, and that's enough. Because at the end of the day, what defines a woman isn't how much she spends, but what she stands for. Most people only know Mark Zuckerberg as the boy genius who built Facebook, the hoodie-wearing CEO who changed the way the world connects. But behind that empire is a quieter, softer story. One about a woman who wasn't building algorithms or IPO deals, but something far more intimate, a family. For Priscilla Chan, being married to a tech billionaire wasn't about champagne galas or lavish vacations. It was about late-night shifts as a pediatrician, juggling hospital calls while her husband sat in boardrooms, fielding global crises. It was about being the emotional heartbeat in a world that often prizes intellect over intimacy. Loving someone like Mark, someone with a brain wired for scale and speed, came with real pressure. His schedule was relentless. His company was growing faster than anyone could have predicted. Millions of users depended on his next move. And yet, in the middle of all that noise, Priscilla made one thing crystal clear. Our family comes first. She wasn't a passive observer to Mark's success. She didn't vanish into the background. In fact, she set the tone early in their relationship by drawing boundaries, even before they were married. Weekly date nights. No skipping. Quality time. Non-negotiable. Because even if the world was calling, she wasn't going to be the one left on hold. It's a trap many women fall into, especially those married to powerful men. The idea that love requires self-sacrifice. That being supportive means silencing your own dreams. That you can either nurture your career or your relationship, but not both. And for years, society has celebrated those silent sacrifices, as if giving up your identity is the ultimate proof of devotion. But Priscilla didn't follow that script. While Mark was building one of the world's most influential platforms, she stayed true to her calling as a doctor. She cared for underprivileged children in San Francisco. She didn't cash in on fame. She invested in community. She didn't lose herself in his world. She built her own and invited him to meet her there. And that's what makes her story so powerful. She didn't support Mark by stepping back. She supported him by staying whole, by being someone who challenged him, grounded him, and reminded him what really matters. Because building an empire is impressive. But building a home, that's what holds the empire together when everything else begins to shake. While the headlines tracked Facebook's meteoric rise, the real story was happening off camera, in quiet kitchens, in late-night talks, in simple decisions to stay rooted. And through it all, Priscilla Chan never traded her values for visibility, never abandoned her purpose to fit into someone else's spotlight. She is proof that being with a powerful man doesn't mean you have to shrink. You can stand beside him without disappearing. You can choose us without losing you. And in doing so, you just might build something stronger than success. You might build a life that actually lasts. When people hear about billion-dollar donations from the Zuckerberg family, they often picture a corporate boardroom decision, another PR move from Silicon Valley. But if you peel back the headlines, you'll find something far more personal. At the heart of it all is Priscilla Chan, a woman whose quiet compassion has changed lives more than any algorithm ever could. Long before she was married to Mark Zuckerberg, Priscilla was working in the pediatric ward of a San Francisco hospital, caring for sick children, many from low-income families. She saw firsthand how broken the system was. Hospitals were underfunded, families were overwhelmed, and children with preventable conditions often fell through the cracks. For Priscilla, this wasn't a political issue, it was deeply human. That's why when the donations started coming, they didn't go to vanity projects or shiny institutions. They went where they were needed most. $75 million. That's how much the couple donated to San Francisco General Hospital and Trauma Center, the very place where Priscilla once walked the halls as a doctor. That money helped purchase life-saving equipment, fund advanced technology, and expand care for thousands of patients. But for Priscilla, it wasn't about writing a check. It was about coming full circle, giving back to the place that shaped her. And then came the moment that stunned the world. In 2015, after welcoming their first child into the world, Mark and Priscilla made a promise few could even comprehend. They announced they would give away 99% of their Facebook shares, an estimated value of tens of billions of dollars, over the course of their lifetime through the Chan-Zuckerberg Initiative. This wasn't just a generous pledge. It was a declaration of values, a statement that their legacy wouldn't be measured in dollars, but in lives improved, in schools rebuilt, in diseases cured, in communities lifted. And at the core of this vision was Priscilla, not as a figurehead, but as a co-leader, as someone who understood that real change happens not in the spotlight, but in classrooms, in clinics, and in the hearts of everyday people who just need a little help to thrive. While the media often focuses on Mark, insiders know Priscilla is the soul of the operation. Her background in medicine, her experience in education, her empathy, all of it shapes where the money goes, how it's used, and most importantly, why it matters. In a world where giving often comes with conditions, Priscilla's approach is refreshingly simple. If we have more than we need, we should give more than we take. She doesn't seek credit. She doesn't make grand speeches. She simply does the work. Quietly, consistently, and with a heart as big as the empire she's helped build. Because in the end, true wealth isn't measured by what you keep. It's measured by what you give away. In a world where the ultra-rich live in gated mansions, fly private jets, and chase the next big headline, Priscilla Chan finds happiness in the simplest things. A morning walk, a quiet dinner at home, a board game with her kids. She once said, "We try to stay grounded in our values and the things we love in life." And when she says we, she means the whole Zuckerberg family. Not just her and Mark, but their children too. In their household, joy doesn't come from wealth. It comes from presence. They make time for unhurried conversations. They prioritize meals shared at the table, not just quick bites between meetings. They value fresh air, long walks, and moments of calm over constant hustle. To some, it might seem ironic, two of the most influential people in tech choosing to slow down, but that's exactly what makes their lifestyle so refreshing. Because Priscilla knows, success without peace means nothing. Fame without connection is hollow. And love, real nourishing love, grows best in the quiet moments no one else sees. There's something deeply inspiring about someone who could have everything, but chooses simplicity, who could live extravagantly, but chooses intentionally. While the world races for more, Priscilla holds onto less, but deeper. Less noise, fewer distractions, but deeper meaning, deeper purpose. Of course, she and Mark still dream big. They want to change the world, and they're investing billions to do just that. But even as they aim for global impact, their roots remain deeply personal. For them, progress means nothing if it comes at the cost of family, health, or integrity. Why Mark Zuckerberg says marrying his wife was the smartest decision of his life. Many people assume that the wife of one of the richest men in the world, Mark Zuckerberg, must be a stunning beauty, someone glamorous and extraordinary. But Priscilla Chan, Mark's wife, is surprisingly down to earth. She dresses simply, lives modestly, and by conventional standards, looks just like any other ordinary woman. And yet, to Mark, she is absolutely perfect. When asked on national television whether founding Facebook or becoming a leading philanthropist was the smartest decision of his life, Zuckerberg replied without hesitation, "Marrying my wife." That one answer speaks volumes. It's a reminder that many billionaire wives don't necessarily fit the stereotype of being glamorous or fashion-forward. Some of the most powerful and supportive partners are those who lead quiet, humble lives behind the scenes. They might not turn heads with their looks, but they win hearts with their strength, loyalty, and emotional intelligence. Many of these women stood beside their husbands long before the fame, before the billions, before the world even knew their names. They were there in the hardest moments, when dreams seemed distant and the future uncertain. They shared the burdens, comforted their partners after long, exhausting days, and offered the kind of unwavering support that no money could buy. Their beauty lies not in appearance, but in character. They are patient, compassionate, and resilient, qualities that form the very foundation of a lasting family and a successful life. And when a man finally achieves his dreams, he doesn't look back at the world's temptations. He looks beside him to the woman who never gave up on him, even when the world did. This kind of emotional foundation allows a man to focus, strive, and rise. Because no matter how ambitious or powerful he becomes, he still needs one thing: emotional security. And ironically, being with someone too perfect can sometimes create insecurity. Constant attention, jealousy, and doubt can slowly chip away at peace of mind. But a kind, emotionally intelligent woman who knows how to give space, how to uplift, how to encourage, and simply be there, can be the true secret weapon behind a man's success. She's not needy, but not distant. She nurtures without smothering. She supports without overshadowing. That's real power. And that's exactly who Priscilla Chan is. She may not be a supermodel, but she's brilliant and driven in her own right. Voted class genius by her peers as a child, she went on to graduate from Harvard and later earned her medical degree from the University of California, San Francisco. She is now a respected pediatrician and a leading philanthropist, dedicated to causes that uplift women and children across the globe. In fact, in March 2017, she was one of only 6 nominees for the San Francisco Chronicle's prestigious Visionary of the Year award, an honor given to those who are actively shaping a better future through bold, business-driven solutions. Much of Mark Zuckerberg's own philanthropic journey has been shaped by Priscilla's passion and guidance. Behind every impactful decision, her influence is quietly present. Because in the end, what truly shapes a man's destiny isn't just his talent or ambition, it's the emotional atmosphere of his home. And the woman who shares that space with him, who protects his peace, encourages his growth, and keeps him grounded, can make all the difference. True love isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's wearing jeans and a t-shirt. And sometimes it's the reason behind a billion-dollar empire. So, while the world chases glitz and glamour, Priscilla Chan quietly chose something far more powerful. Substance over style, purpose over appearances, love over luxury. She didn't need the billionaire lifestyle to prove her worth. Because her value was never measured in diamonds or designer labels. It was measured in integrity, impact, and the strength to walk her own path. And maybe that's the real secret behind their marriage and their empire. If this story inspired you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who still believes in love that goes deeper than appearances. Subscribe for more powerful stories that remind us what really matters in life. And tell us in the comments below, do you think inner strength and emotional support matter more than looks in a relationship? We'd love to hear your thoughts.